On the issue of poverty reduction, the evidence shows that working for minimum wage guarantees that people will be living below the poverty line. The city needs to address this issue in a fair and responsible way through smart urban designs that will be inclusive for the whole community and that will bring people together and enhance our culture. We need to make investments in this direction, and it's very important to have a bigger picture view. So we need to look at seniors, we need to look at families with kids, and we need to look at business owners and professionals. We need to look at everybody and find ways to build everybody up around us.
So regarding minimum wage, I know that minimum wage is a provincial jurisdiction, so the province sets minimum wage, of course. We all have to work for a living, so I know usually people don't stay at minimum wage, so it's kind of a progressive thing. Usually they start a job, work up, and hopefully they can work from there. I know Alberta has the lowest amount of people working at minimum wage, so yeah.
So my reaction to the data that was published about the minimum wage and the poverty line, the relationship between people working minimum wage and poverty line is not alarming but concerning. And again, like, you know, as a community, we have to make sure that people who need the support are well supported by either social programs or things that the city can do for people who are in need. Generally speaking, I find that the minimum wage in Alberta is too low, considering, like, you know, how much the province has in terms of resources and economy. I often say it's not because the economy is bad; it's because sometimes, like, you know, the economy is poorly managed, and government, like, you know, ought to look more into meeting the needs of the people.
When we think about a living wage and what is a living wage, what we really need to do is define the cost of poverty. What does poverty cost in our society? The costs of poverty are loss of economic output. The cost of poverty is increased crime. The cost of poverty is opportunity that's lost. A living wage gives people the ability to contribute back into the economy, to build a life, to generate educational opportunities, to have a hope that they are going to make a contribution that makes sense, not just for them, but for their children and for the society as a whole. My position on living wage is that it is an initiative that we need to look very seriously about. We need to partner with the private sector. We need to partner with small business. We need to partner with corporations and so on that make it make sense. It's the real cost of poverty that costs.
So the question is, what is your position on poverty for those who have minimum, or reducing poverty for those who have minimum wage? Well, I certainly support that everybody should have the opportunity to have a fruitful and productive life. Minimum wage is not meeting the standards. I think obviously we need to do something to correct that. I recognize, however, Council's position in this is not one where they can actually do or specifically change that environment, but we should be able to make an influence to the provincial and federal government about the minimum wage status. I think that we as community members would want to make sure that all the people in our community can have a healthy and beneficial life, and I think that we should push forward on any initiative that we can to sway provincial and federal government to raise that minimum wage so that people can have a good and productive life within the community. It really only benefits the community that everybody can be happy here.
I'm very supportive of looking at the living wage as a council and as a city. I think for a long time we've given lip service to it, but we have not committed ourselves to looking at it. Although minimum wage went up, it is not enough. Even if both parents are working, minimum wage does not cut it, and you're going to have, they're not going to be able to manage as a family and to take part in the community. Kids in poverty are going to grow up to be kids with issues, and in the long run we're all going to pay for that as well. So I'm a big supporter. I think there's lots of ways to look at poverty though, and I don't think living wage is the only one. I think we have to look at other systems that we have in our community that addresses the poverty issue. So I'd be one of the supporters. We just voted on it in council actually, and my hand was up pretty quickly on that. I think it's something very worthwhile, and it's an investment. It's an investment in our people, and particularly our children. Children should not have to suffer.
I support understanding what a living wage is for Red Deer. I think it's really important that we understand what it costs to live in the city, for rent, for housing, for mortgage, for your utilities. And it's important that people understand that a living wage is different than a minimum wage. And a living wage isn't the law. It's a statistic for us to know how much it costs for a family or a single person to live. I think that gives us an opportunity to see if we can become a better affordable city, some of the amenities that we need to change, what will work better for families so we do have an affordable city. I also think that it's important that we work with the business community, with faith groups, with other levels of government, because for me, we're all together in this. It's about people knowing that they can put food on the table, they can provide for their families, and it doesn't talk about also about savings, because we know that we're in a savings crisis for the future as well. So folks, I do support a living wage for Red Deer, and I hope you'll support me. Thank you.
Thanks very much for having the opportunity to speak to you today. One of the questions that was presented by Mr. Bakes is about Red Deer and its living wage. My perspective and my platform on the living wage is absolutely it should be looked at. I know that the differences in cities provide a whole range of economic diversity and challenge. We in Red Deer want to attract all spectrums of the community, and in order to do that and have them have a good shot at being part of the community and living in our community is ensuring that we provide enough of an income to meet the basic needs and services that the community has to offer. And we know that throughout the province that these community and services range in price just due to the economics of the community. I certainly support the review and an appropriate living wage to be presented in the city of Red Deer.